What are the stats that matter when you want to decide who to play? I'm going to start a new series, and I'm going to start by focusing on players that create chances for their teammates. I'm going to tell you the stats that matter when it comes to choosing your wingbacks. By the end of the show, you should be able to go to any scouting page and then just take a quick look at the stats, and you'll be able to tell whether that player is any decent at creating chances for you. To understand this, we're going to use a real life example, and I'm going to explain two concepts: the chance creating action and the goal creating action. Over at fbref.com, they distinguish between the two. Football Manager, the game, does exactly the same thing. So far this season, Andy Robertson is averaging 2.44 shot creating actions per 90 minutes. This is the lowest since his 2018-2019 campaign. Last season, he was averaging 3.37 per 90 minutes, so it's a significant difference. Now, when we look at Tsimikas is enjoying a good vein of form. This season, he's averaging 5.44 shot creating actions per 90 minutes. That's more than double what Robertson is currently producing for the Reds. What about goal creating actions? These are actions that lead to a final product, like a goal. And with Tsimikas, he's averaging about 1.34 goal creating actions per 90 minutes, which is significantly higher than the 0.22 figure that Andy Robertson is currently producing. When you go into the game of Football Manager, you find key passes per 90. These are chance creating actions. And you find chance created per 90, which are basically goal creating actions. Now, it's pretty easy to confirm this. CCCs are goal creating actions, basically big chances that lead to goals. And all you have to do is take 14 and divide it by the minutes and multiply it by 90, and you'll arrive at 0.48. So this confirms that these are basically goal creating actions. These are chance creating actions. Why the difference? Chance creating actions can come from dead ball situations, corners, crosses, you name it. Anytime a person hits the ball towards goal, it's counted as a chance creating action. It may not necessarily produce a goal, or it may not necessarily be good enough to generate a high XG, whereas these do. So when you go into the game of Football Manager and you're looking out for good wingbacks, then you have to account for their key passes per 90 as well as the chances created per 90. However, the story doesn't end there. So I've just finished the season here at Palermo. Now, the season has ended, and what I've done is I've taken a look at all the fullbacks in Europe who are between the ages of 15 and 35, made at least 5 appearances, and have an average rating of 6.5. What I want to do is I want to see how my own fullbacks stack up against the rest. So here, if I go down the list, I will find Andy and Luca Flores. They're both from my team. Now, what is going to surprise a lot of people is this, right? If I look at my two players, Alessio Holweda is one of my fullbacks, and he is averaging something like 2.28 goal scoring actions. 2.28 chance creating actions and 0.48 goal scoring actions. Here we've got Luca Flores, and he is averaging 2.26 shot creating actions and 0.58 goal scoring actions. Now, what's interesting is when you take a look at both these players, you wouldn't have guessed that this player is doing so well. His attributes are insanely average. Nothing in here indicates to me, if I were playing the game for the first time, that this player is going to create loads of chances for me. Look at his attributes. His passing is less than 10. His crossing is less than 10. His bravery, well, who cares about bravery when you're fullback, right? But his anticipation is 10. His concentration is 12. He's got great agility. He's got fantastic acceleration and balance, and he can dribble. This indicates that when he gets the ball and he gets away, because he likes to knock the ball past the opponent, he holds on to the ball quite long, right? His first touch is incredible. You pass the ball to him, he's not going to lose the ball straight away. What he does have is good decision making and flair, which indicates that while he can make himself available for the pass, right? He's not stupid when it comes to making the pass. He may not have fantastic passing and he may not have fantastic crossing, but he's not likely to go and make those kind of killer passes, or he's not going to try to do a cross that he can't complete. When I go into the game and I take a look at the same player, this seems to be the case. Most of his chances are relatively simple passes. There is one where he delivers a cross which creates a goal. And well, it seems like he's pretty decent, right? Right now, he's one of my best players. In fact, these are two of my best left backs. This is Alessio Holweda. Now, looking at his attributes alone, the value of the player is almost 72 million. But when you look at his attributes, any person in his right mind is probably going to go into the game and go, hey, I want to start with him. Like, I'm looking at him and I'm going, I want to start with him in every single game. He's got fantastic mentals. He's got phenomenal physicals. Yes, his technical skills. He's got decent crossing. He's got good passing. He's got vision. He's got decisions. He's got decent flair. He's got fantastic off the ball. Everything about him tells me, please play me, right? Please play me. So why is this player outperforming the other fullback? The interesting thing about Football Manager is that you can always get somebody who's a pretty average player playing well. You just need to account for him in your tactical system. In our tactical system, we've got two advanced forwards, but this is the important bit here. We usually play Flores and Andy Holweda as our left backs. They are partnering a Mazzala. This Mazzala is our main creator. Now, when they get the ball forward, I'm expecting them to work well with the Mazzala to create goal-scoring actions, right? So they're going to be out wide looking at creating crosses and keeping the ball. So what I did in the game was to make sure that most of the focus fell on the Mazzala instead of the fullback. How did I do this? Simply enough, I told him to pass it shorter and cross from the byline. Sit narrower so that it's closer to the Mazzala, so that whenever we had transitions, they wouldn't be too far away. The fullback on the left would have a passing option. The focus on creating chances actually fell to the Mazzala, working with the fullback. So I get a partnership going on the left flank. So to understand the two players a bit more, I took both players and put them into my spreadsheet. The spreadsheet and the views that I'm using today, they're available for download, but they're only going to be available for 7 days. The password for the download folder will be made available during the course of this show, and it will expire in 5 days' time. If you're unfortunate to be watching this show after 5 days, you can make your way down to the SI forums. There's a thread there called The Art of Numbers, Not Attributes, a journey extracting the best out of my players. You can, of course, find a spreadsheet inside there and download links to views as well. Now, I've got Luca Flores here, and I've got Andy here. Now, please ignore the rest because it's part of the filter. You know, these players will show up. So I got Luca Flores, and I want to compare him to Andy Holweda. As you can see, in terms of interceptions per 90, Luca Flores is much better. So he's reading the game a lot more. Wow. And the guy at the bottom, his mentals are actually better, which is kind of amazing. And one of the reasons probably is because the headers won per 90, the two players, there's a big difference here. The difference in height of both these players is playing a big role. Luca Flores is actually very tall. He's 1.86 meters tall, and he's much taller than Andy Holweda. If Andy Holweda wanted to improve his defensive numbers a bit more, he'd have to grow a few inches, and I don't see that happening in the near future. So one of the biggest reasons why the unheralded fullback here is doing so well is because he's outstripping Andy in terms of his defensive actions. In terms of his goal-scoring actions, both of them are almost at par. Here we have their creative score, which in my calculations measures their creative actions. You can see Luca Flores is at 0.167 and 0.172 for Andy Holweda. If I were to compare both these players, then it tells me a picture. It paints a picture for me, right? It tells me that Andy Holweda can create better chances than Luca Flores, but the difference in both these players lies in the fact that Luca Flores is a bit more defensively resilient. His numbers here in terms of defensive actions show that he clearly dominates that part of the game. While Andy Holweda is great going forward, Luca Flores will probably be a better option for me if I wanted to be a bit more defensive on the left side. So when I'm looking at attributes that matter for fullbacks, acceleration, agility, balance, anticipation, concentration, positioning, off the ball, first touch are very important attributes. So you want to make sure that you have these attributes in your fullbacks. Mentally, they should be able to read the game. Physically, they should be able to go down the flanks. Then it's a matter of whether they should be passing it short or whether they can cross. Then you can determine based on those attributes alone. You can put a PI on the fullback if he can't really pass the ball and tell him to pass it shorter. Finally, the magic sauce. Height. Yes. Decent height. Probably a fullback between 1.76 to 1.85 would be fantastic. Then he can intercept quite a few balls. If he can intercept those balls and he's got acceleration and agility, he will beat a lot of other players to the ball first and then bring the ball forward and create chances for your team. Then when you're in the game and you're scouting for potential fullbacks for your side, then you don't want to ignore things like chance creator, penalty, and key passes, because these reflect the player's output when it comes to creating goal-scoring actions or chance-creating actions. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video. It was meant to be short and sharp. And if you have any questions, you guys want to find me. Meanwhile, stay safe, take care of each other. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.